Currently, I'm based in Tofu, in Nyambani province or Nyambani city as well. And I work for Eduardo Mondlane University, specifically for the School of Marine and Coastal Science. This school is located in Kelimani city in Zambezi province. I am a marine biologist. I'm specialized in fisheries management, policies of sustainable development and climate change. I work as full-time as a lecturer and a researcher for the University Eduardo Mondlane. And what I do most of the time is to conduct research and have teams of students developing science, investigating interesting research questions around fisheries, fishery management, the relationship between communities or different fishing sectors with the environment, and understanding those dynamics behind this activity. So this is basically what I do, and what I've been focused on in my research is fisheries management mostly. In Mozambique, in the last years, I've been very focused in researching the coastal, marine and coastal ecosystems, especially the impact of anthropogenic, meaning human beings' actions upon the natural ecosystems and its resources. But I also have been understanding the impact of fisheries on those natural resources, meaning that there is a dynamic in this action. We go for nature to get resources, to our living, for food, for security, for cultural reasons, but also if the way we do it can be positive or negative. So my study is very much related to understand the dynamics of human beings' actions upon natural resources, and especially in mangrove ecosystems in the central region of Mozambique, called Sofala Bank, where the main fishing grounds exist, especially for prawns and tuna and all the good fishes that we know. This is a very interesting dynamic to see it from a research perspective, because for us to have healthy fish resources that are capable to provide food, and not just for us but for our kids and our next generation, in quantities that are enough to provide also economic income for the country and for the communities, we need to create a management system that protects those resources. And very often, and in our country and in many places in the world, a lot of fish stocks are under threat and under decline. So, and why? Due to unsustainable fishing practices that are widespread. Here in Mozambique, we have a big fight among many unsustainable practices, such as trawling for the bottom of our coastal grounds, such as using mosquito nets in ecosystems such as the mangroves, which are nursery grounds for many fish species that go there for reproduction or for growing. So if you use mosquito nets, it means that you are taking all the species before they reproduce. So there is a dynamic related to fisheries and natural resources and the way we do fisheries in nowadays. And this is what we are trying to understand. We are trying to create strategic measures to mitigate and protect the ecosystems. But on the other side, we need to make sure that people still get the food on their plates and don't starve because we are just focused on the ecologic. So there is always a trade-off and a challenge to balance those two things. And this is what I work with. I think the work I do with my colleagues and the whole body of people and professionals in the field of marine science of this country is of extreme importance. Mozambique has about 2,700 long coastal line. We have the fifth longest or biggest, something that we call the economic exclusive zone in the ocean. And we have a lot of fishery resources So to better conserve and manage and protect our resources for today and tomorrow, it's only possible if the policies that our government is using are informed with science. So science is the key to go along with any management that the country is doing. So the work we are doing, it's of extreme importance. There is little marine biologists in Mozambique still. There's a little, not so many people engaged in marine science still, unfortunately. But the challenges that Mozambique has are so big because we have a lot of coastal resources that are providing so many services, not just for Mozambique, but for the world. I will make an example of the mangroves as well of Mozambique. We have the fourth biggest area of mangrove forest in Africa, the 13th biggest mangrove forest in the world. And our mangrove forest is now recognized as a mangrove forest that provides a service, for example, to mitigate climate change, which is a global problem. Mangroves are a key for that because they are the only plants in the world that can survive in salty environments. They have this capacity to live in salty water. They can absorb the water, and through their leaves, they can take out the salt. So this is something that other plants on Earth cannot do. So they can live in a very, very challenging environment. But one good thing for climate change is that living there in this salty environment, muddy, that is so challenging, and they have their roots there, they can absorb carbon, fix carbon, and differently from trees in the forest, they can retain that carbon for longer. Studies now prove that this can be from decades, centuries to millenniums of years. So this is the plant that captures and keeps carbon for longest time that we have today in our world. So we are talking that Mozambique has a really important resource there for climate change mitigation and for a global challenge. That's the importance of our research for environment, to inform, to spread the news and give value about which resources in the coastal area we have and we need to protect. My last message will be a message of hope, but starting with a warning about how threatened our coastal ecosystems and resources are. We are talking that the population in Mozambique and in the world is growing. And for example, here in Mozambique, we are saying that 60% of our population is now concentrated in coastal areas. That means a big pressure for our already in decline resources in many resources that are in decline. But at the same time, that means that we have a challenge to protect them. So the message I will give for your students, for the general community, for other scientists is that how can we create solutions that make people live in harmony with natural environments? How do we build a world where development goes aside with protection and conservation? Those are questions, but those are also points of reflection of which options do we choose every day. What do we eat? What do we buy? How do we build our houses? How we want to help the environment to keep sustainable. So the message I will give for all of us is let's take protection and conservation as something serious and something to practice every day. It starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with school, it starts with everybody. So we are all part of this fight, and we can all do it. And studying and being informed and be part of right decisions is also a big key. So let's conserve and let's preserve the ecosystems and the resources that Mozambique has. Thank you.
Now, we would like to thank you once again, Dr. Alas. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you having come together.
It's a big pleasure. Thank you.